Hey guys, it's Mr. Abood, and today we're going to talk about SAT prep. And now, why do you want to know about SAT prep? Well, SAT prep is probably the easiest way to improve your chances into getting into a college with the minimal effort. So basically, colleges typically look at three things. The colleges will look at GPA. That's the probably the first and foremost important thing. Next, they will look at SAT scores. And the reason for that is simply due to the fact that they can just organize this on a spreadsheet and quickly figure out how desirable you are as a candidate, basically how successful you will be at staying in college and at graduating. And then the third thing they look at is actually your resume and what, they look at a lot of details about you. But basically, if you cannot hit the GPA and the SAT scores, your chances of getting into a particular school are going to be slim. That's usually the first thing that they will look at. So that's why I think that these two are the most important. And your GPA takes 4 years. It takes you 4 years of your GPA or of schooling to get your final GPA. Now that's a long time. How much time do you spend on your SAT prep? Maybe 3 weeks, maybe four, maybe a couple months. 2 months, maybe a couple hours a day. So, as you can see here, 4 years, that's going to take a very long time to fix your GPA, and it's a lot of effort, and it's very difficult to bring up your GPA to where, for example, if you're, let's say just, and hypothetically here, let's say you're applying to Harvard and you have a 2.9, your chances of getting into Harvard are just about zero. But if you have, let's say, a 3.7, and you're trying to get into Harvard, well, the next thing that you need to do is your GPA is going to be low for Harvard, first of all. But we can improve your SAT score by spending a lot of time on it. And so what I'm trying to do here is really encourage you guys to spend more time on the SAT. Unfortunately, this is the way that things are set up. I don't like it. I don't think it's fair, but this is the way they are. So I think that really the best way to get into your dream college is to really work on your SAT score. It'll take you very little time compared to your GPA, and the payoffs can be pretty big. So now let's talk a little bit about how to approach the SAT. So a a private SAT tutor, one-on-one in the Bay Area, will run you about $100 to $300 an hour. Now, I know most of you cannot afford that, so this is going to be basically a quick introduction on how to do SAT prep on your own. I've been doing SAT prep for about 5 years now, and so I'm very, very familiar with the content and very familiar with students that succeed on their SAT prep and students that don't. So let's go over the three most important things for SAT prep. So the first one is obviously practice. If you don't practice, you're not going to succeed on the SAT. The second thing is practice, and the third thing is practice. I'm kidding a little bit, but really, practice is the number one determining factor of your success on the SAT. So let's just go quickly talk about some strategies for practice. So the first thing is obviously practice. If you get a lot of practice, you'll do well. The second thing is to review and understand what you are doing and why you are missing certain questions. It doesn't help if you just practice and you're like, oh, I didn't know how to do this problem. Well, I got the rest. I'll figure that one out. Maybe on the test. Maybe it'll be easier. Maybe it won't be on the test. No, take the time to review and really understand these questions. Thirdly, the third most important thing is just gather data. Like any other science, without data, you're not going to have a lot of success. You're not going to know what you are weak on and what you are strong on. So the third thing is to gather data. Okay, now that we've talked a little bit about three things, let's actually figure out what these look like. So in order to get this practice that you so direly need, I really, really, really recommend the free resource of Khan Academy. Khan Academy is teamed up with the College Board, who are the people who make the SAT, to give you an official SAT practice. And it's really good. This whole nonprofit is dedicated to basically bridging the gap between students that have access to private tutors and students that don't. So this is a very important link. Let's go ahead and write this link down. I'll give you guys a quick second to get out a sheet of paper and a piece of pencil. Or a pencil. And so we're going to write down the website. The website is Khan, and I'm writing this in capital letters just so that you can clearly see what I'm writing. Khan Academy, and I think a lot of you are familiar with khanacademy.com /SAT. Nice and simple, khanacademy.com /SAT. This will take you to a world of resources. And I will teach you how to, and I'm going to also provide you an outline on how to organize your resources for this test. So once we go on to khanacademy.com, this is /SAT. We're going to get to something that looks kind of like this. It's very easy to run around this website, but I'm going to show you anyway. So this test, or this website includes 8 full-length practice tests, a bunch of study tests, a bunch of test prep skills, and practice problems. So I'm actually first going to start you off by, well, you're going to have to, let's go ahead and click the Start Practicing. You're going to have to sign in with your Google account. Once you are signed in with your Google account, then this will take you to this section. Now, once let's let this load for a second. This is basically your dashboard. I don't really use the dashboard a whole lot. You are more than welcome to, but I'm just going to skip the dashboard and go straight to this practice. So I'll go ahead and write that down. So once you go to khanacademy.com /SAT, you click that the big button that was just let's go back to that big button. Write down what that, I mean, it's the only button, and Start Practicing. So we go ahead and click Start Practicing. And then you go to Practice. And so let's see where that is. So it's up here right at the top. You go ahead and click Practice. So you go here and click on Practice. This is going to get you to where you need to be. Okay, so once we are here, we're gonna have 3 main sections: the math, the reading, and the essay. And the essay is a new section, so I'm not super familiar with it. I think they just added this, but I think it will actually help you on your essay section. For those of you that are going to colleges like UC Berkeley, or if you're going to trying to apply to higher end colleges, Columbia, Harvard. Anyway, so I really like this setup. So the setup that they have here is basically broken down into little subsections. So you've got each one of these little sections, and you can see your skill level. You're going to take a little practice test. So I don't think it allows you to do anything until you click on until you take this diagnostic quiz. So it'll just not let you click into any of the subsections until you take the diagnostic test. Or diagnostic quiz. So go ahead and click on that. Take this quiz for your math or reading and writing, depending on what you are trying to study more for. And then once you take that, it will kind of give you a skill level. So you see here, this is going to show you your skill level. And this is where the data comes in really handy. Khan Academy is really trying to help you out to see where you're weakest and where you are strongest. So as you fill in these as you do these practices, or after you take this practice quiz, or the diagnostic quiz, sorry, all of these bubbles will be filled in. And you'll see that this bubble has a level of 3, while this bubble has a level of 2. Let's see if we have any level 4s. I don't think we have any level 4s filled in right now. I think I just randomly clicked through the diagnostic test, so it just kind of gave me some random numbers. So, for example, if you are on level 2, and let's say your goal is to bring all of them up to level 3, then it's very easy to see the data on what you are missing. And the math section, each section is going to kind of talk about a small technique that you need. So, for example, these are all going to be algebraic techniques, and they all break it down into really chewable little bites. And so it's very easy for you to understand that particular section. For example, if I click on practice here, it'll take me to some problems, and I can go ahead and read through the problem, try to answer it And if I miss the problem, then usually if you scroll to the bottom, there's a nice little explanation of how they got this answer. Now, obviously, if you have a tutor, it's going to be easier to figure out why you missed this problem. But this is the next best. Is you're just going to have to read through this. You can watch a video. Let's say that you didn't understand that explanation. So you can click on this video and pull up an example by basically a professional test prep tutor. So in this case, it's Sal, who's the founder of Khan Academy. I think that they've got some better test prep tutors, but Sal will do. Sal Khan he'll explain this problem, and hopefully that will help you out to complete it. Okay, so once let's see, talked about a little bit about how to actually do these. So let's now go over to a calendar, which I have made for my students, and I will share with all of you. This is my calendar. I don't know why I didn't import correctly. It's supposed to be a little bit prettier, but this is my calendar for a really, really in-depth practice for the SAT. Now, I know a lot of you don't have, I think this is starting this Friday and going through March. Now, this is ideal. If you wanted to like really improve your score, like 200-300 points, I've had some students improve even more than that. Then this is what I would highly recommend you do. You want to get close to a perfect score. You need to follow this and really spend the time. And you can see that this is doing it only 2 times a week, and it probably takes you 1 to 2 hours for each one of these sections. And I'll explain exactly what all of these sections are in just a second. But so this is not a super rigorous or short on time schedule. You could probably do this in 2 to 3 months if you were really, really dedicating a lot of time to it after school. But it is going to be very difficult to do that within 2 or 3 months. If you don't have time for any of this, then what I would recommend doing is just reviewing your weakest sections on, when we went back to here. Make sure to just review your weakest sections. Make sure everything's up to level 2 or level 3, and for both math and reading and writing. And that's probably your kind of crash course. But I would really, if you could really spend some time with it, I highly recommend trying to follow this schedule. So let me explain the schedule a little bit. So as you can see here, I have the math sections on the left-hand side as well as the full-length exams. And the reading on the right hand. And so I want you to basically get a little bit of each one done each day. So for example, here we have the heart of algebra, solving linear equations, and linear inequalities. So if we go back here, if we go into math, under the heart of algebra, which was this first section right here, heart of algebra, we have solving linear equations and linear inequalities, which is, they might have mixed this around, but anyway, it's basically just one of these. So in this case, it's right here. And so you go ahead and hit practice on this one. You complete it up to level 3 or level 4, depending on your skill level. And then you go over to reading and you do the science section. So we go back to Khan Academy, to the reading section, and we go scroll down until we see reading science. And so we can click on practice and get those 2 out of the way today or whenever you start your test prep. So this is just an outline. It's just a suggestion. It's not meant to be what you necessarily need to do. Every student is different. So what I would do is I would take this outline and try to kind of fit it into your own schedule based on how much time you have and based on how advanced you are and what score improvement you need. If you only need 10, 20 points, maybe 50 points, you probably don't need to run through this whole program. If you're looking at a 400-point increase, I would highly recommend doing this whole program. Okay, so let's talk about some of the other things on here, and maybe your teachers can help you out with some of the other sections on how to navigate through this spreadsheet. We basically have the schedule. I've included a little calendar where you can kind of fill in all of your information on what days you want to do what. But more importantly than that is the missed problems. So under your missed problems, what I would like to do is I like to track why you missed each problem and why what you're going to do to fix that. And so whether it's watching a video, getting help from your friend John, who really is good at algebra, whatever it is, in order for you to get that question correctly the next time that you see it, what you need to do. But let's go over your daily routine of what I personally recommend for this schedule. So we've talked about, the Khan Academy website. And again, you don't have to stick to my schedule or necessarily do the things the way I do them. This is just something that I have seen a lot of students improve tremendously on, and what really seems to help them. So let's go over to the routine tab down here. And so this is kind of what I suggest that you do every day. And again, go ahead and I would write that down on your notes. But basically every day you want to take a look over the videos on Khan Academy. And again, that's depending on whether you don't understand the material or you do. So let's go back to Khan Academy and let's go up to the math section. And let's take a look at one of these videos. So here's a basic example or a harder example. If you're an advanced student, I would suggest you do a harder example. If you're just trying to improve a few points, or if you don't understand the material at all, I would suggest clicking on the basic example. So watch that example and then go ahead and write down any formulas that you're missing on a cheat sheet. And a cheat sheet is just a piece of paper that you can reference anytime that you are taking practice tests. You won't obviously be allowed to take that into the actual SAT course, but it's a cheat sheet that you can use while you practice. And you can always try to memorize those formulas at the end, or that vocab for the English section or the reading sections. The third part is we are going to work through problems on Khan Academy. So that's where we just go over here and we hit practice and we try those different types of problems, and hopefully those make sense. And if not, you can have your friend John explain them to you, or whoever your friend is who's good at math, or you can come into tutoring after school to get a little bit of extra help on those problems. Most of our tutors should be able to answer your questions pretty effectively. I like to take pictures or screenshots of the missed problems and save them somewhere so that then later on I can go ahead and review those sections. That's my, if you have a lot of time, that's what I would recommend doing, is just to make sure that you can then go back later and solve these problems that you missed. Okay, once we are done, that was all based on the math section. So every day we look over videos for the math on Khan Academy, add any necessary formulas to your cheat sheet, work through problems on Khan Academy, and take pictures of the screenshots or of the missed problems. Then we're going to go into the reading and writing section and watch those videos. So again, if we go up here under reading and writing, if we scroll down, there are how-tos on each one of these sections, and they're really helpful. I highly suggest watching the videos or the examples. They do a pretty good job of trying to explain those to you. Once you do those, you again take pictures and screenshots of the problems, and don't forget the passage for the writing section. The passage is usually not included. Then you will go ahead and redo, and this part is really important. In order to master the problems that you missed, you need to redo them. And I don't mean redo them like 5 seconds after you got the question wrong. I mean like a week or two later. After you've completely forgotten the problem, go back and redo this problem to make sure that you really have mastered that. And that is basically what test prep tutors do, is we just try to organize you. We try to give you practice, and we try to help you understand. So let's just go back and see if we hit all 3 of our goals. This Khan Academy website will give you a ton of practice. So we definitely hit our practice goal. Does it help you review and understand? That's more up to you, whether it helped you review and understand. You need to make sure that you are spending the time to understand and review those problems that you missed. So go ahead and ask your buddy for help, and that will help you understand it. And then a week or 2 later, review that problem. And that should hit review and understand. We got practice in. And then finally, it's the data. And so that's where I suggest keeping track of your missed problems. Whoops, missed problems right here. This is our tab for missed problems. I just like to say, for example, here I have an example just to kind of give you guys an idea of what how I like to organize my missed questions. Write down which section you missed the question from. So here we missed it from linear inequality word problems. We missed question number 3. The reason is we didn't read the question carefully. So for example, here I would type, read the question carefully. And then to rectify it, to rectify that, I would just say, we need to read the questions more carefully. And once you have, this is not terribly helpful if you only have 3 or 4 questions, but once you have, like, let's say 50 questions, and you see that there's a common theme here, this is where it's really good to have that data and figure out why you're missing these types of problems. So the final step is the data. Make sure that you are reviewing these and getting exactly understanding why you're missing them, and making sure that you track what to do to review them properly. So that's a quick outline. So again, we go to khanacademy.com/SAT. You click Start Practicing. You click Practice, and then just make sure that you input all of your information into that file as you go through it. And again, I have the 6 steps on here already under the little tab routine, so you don't even need to write down those steps. You can just have them on here. We're going to share this spreadsheet with you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email is, I'll just write it right here because we're kind of running out of space. My email is daboud, that's DABUD, at amethodschools.com. You guys know the rest of that. amethodschools.org. But again, I think you guys know the extension to that. So again, my email is just daboud at amethodschools.org. Hopefully this was helpful, and I hope to help you guys out more in the future. Have a great rest of your day.